And welcome to a new podcast here on STLSportsPage.com. Rob Rains, we're pleased to be joined by Dr. Adam Fitzgerald. We're going to call this ArchWell Health Matters, because Dr. Fitzgerald is one of the big executives over at ArchWell Health, one of our newest sponsors here on the website, and we really appreciate him taking the time to join us. Adam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. ArchWell, as we mentioned, one of the newest sponsors here, and actually Dr. Fitzgerald and our family has a long history here. He's been our personal family physician for a long time before he switched over to ArchWell. And once he moved over there, we kind of followed him over and found out what a great company it was. And we're now clients of ArchWell Health, and that's why we approached you guys about being interested in sponsorship and joining us here on the website. I think it's a great company that a lot of people need to know a lot more about. So maybe, I guess, as we get started here on this podcast, as we're going to talk about some Cardinal injuries as well as other health matters, just, I guess, from a little overview standpoint, talk about ArchWell Health from that.
Yeah, so we're an organization. We have 4 centers in the St. Louis area, and our focus is delivering high quality, senior focused primary care. So all of the members that we have at ArchWell Health, they're 60 and older on Medicare Advantage plans. We offer longer appointment times. Our providers have smaller patient panels, so they're able to spend more time and deliver higher quality care to our members.
And as I say, Sally and I both are clients and have been very pleased with the service that we've received. And I know a couple of your colleagues were out at our opening day party at Helen Fitzgerald's. No relation to the Fitzgerald family here, but
unfortunately not.
Had a great time with them, and I know they had a lot of people there that were interested in finding out more about the company. So if you do have more interest in finding out more about ArchWell Health, there's a link on our main page, STLSportsPage.com's homepage, that will take you directly to the ArchWell Health website, which provides more information as well about the company. Obviously, one of the things we're going to talk about is obviously our Cardinal-based website is some of the situations going on with the Cardinals, and obviously not ideal when you start the year with 6 players on the injured list, formerly called the disabled list. They changed it a few years ago, but there's a couple of them that I wanted to highlight. But obviously, one of them, the newest one, that it happened this week when Dylan Carlson, the outfielder, was hurt in a collision with Jordan Walker in the outfield, and the diagnosis after the imaging came back was he had a sprained AC joint in his left shoulder. Mm-hmm. You kind of give us a layman's definition of what that means and how long we can think he's going to be out?
Yeah, sure. Certainly how long somebody can be out from an injury like that depends on the extent and the severity of the injury. But as far as that AC joint, that stands for acromioclavicular joint. That joint is in the left shoulder here, in the front of the shoulder. That's where the collarbone that everybody's familiar with joins with the shoulder blade. There is a ligament that connects that collarbone to the shoulder blade, and when that joint gets injured, there can be a little bit of a separation or a strain that occurs in that ligament. Sometimes that can tear and become more of a significant injury, but by the sounds of it, seems like he doesn't have that severe of a shoulder injury, and it may be in terms of weeks for his planned return.
Would that, in layman's term, would it be similar to like what we've termed the injury that we've heard in sports for a long time, a dislocated shoulder, the same type of thing, or not?
No, not exactly. A dislocated shoulder generally comes at that ball and socket joint in the shoulder. So from your humerus bone that makes up your arm, that will dislocate out of the actual socket joint. So kind of they're in close proximity to one another, but not the same.
When you're watching a game, we were watching the game when he got hurt, and as he walked off the field, and then as he sat down in the dugout, he kind of grabbed his left shoulder. So I said he hurt his shoulder. When you're watching a game, do you diagnose injuries as they happen, and like say, hey, he just hurt this part of his body or whatever?
I try not to. Again, sometimes in that moment you can tell, but sometimes players will sustain an injury, and their adrenaline will have them feeling a lot better about it, and after they come off the field and get evaluated, find out that it's a more severe injury, or sometimes that initial pain can be significant, and it's something that can be brushed off. So usually I like to not get too far ahead of myself before all the facts come in.
You probably see a lot of people who are amateur doctors who you have to try to like guard against it. And I know a lot of sports writers who qualify in that category as amateur doctors. The other injury that I've been waiting to ask you about, because I was confused by it from the first time we heard what happened, was Lars Nootbaar gets hurt in spring training by running into a wall, and they said he had 2 non-displaced fractures in his rib cage. What is a non-displaced fracture?
So a fracture is anytime anybody breaks a bone, as we say, and when they break a bone, it can be displaced or non-displaced. A displaced fracture is when there's going to be actual movement with those 2 broken ends. So if my fingers are kind of a bone and there's a fracture there and it were to be displaced, you would see that movement between the 2 broken ends there. With a non-displaced fracture, again, there's going to be some of that separation, but you're not going to get much of that movement.
Gotcha. And so I guess the comeback for him is just going to be, if it's not, they're not moved, then it's just going to be a pain tolerance type of question about how much he can do and when he can come back from that.
Correct. Yeah. With those, chest wall injuries, there's not a whole lot proactively to do. It's more time in pain control. And the good news about that is it's hard to make those worse, or they rarely go on to more significant injuries. So once his pain can be adequately controlled to a level that he can perform, that's required of a professional ball player, then we'll see him back.
We're visiting with Dr. Adam Fitzgerald of ArchWell Health here on our new podcast on stlsportspage.com, how ArchWell Health Matters. And the other topic we wanted to get to today is with the start of April being National Stress Awareness Month. I don't think that a lot of people realize how much stress plays a role in your health and how it's important to try to monitor that and try to control it. What's kind of your things that you've seen, or what's your opinion about kind of controlling stress and what it can do to a person's health?
Yeah, that's a great question. Stress, it's more than just a mental health issue. There are a lot of physical things that occur in the body as a result of those stress hormones that circulate. They can have impacts on blood pressure, blood sugar. They can impact weight management, increase the risk for development of heart disease. So, while we think of stress as kind of more of a psychological issue, people that have a lot of stress and aren't able to manage it, do definitely have increased risk of very, very real and physical disease that impact their health down the road.
Because I think we all know, especially in today's world where there's so much hectic activity and things going on, that the stress is a very real element. I mean, there's probably going to be very few people that have, don't have some level of stress at some point, and maybe not in their daily life, but at least in their life over a regular period of time. And I guess that's man, I don't know what's a way to kind of relieve the stress. I mean, how do you kind of, and everybody's probably different, but how do you cope with it and trying to make sure that it doesn't become a serious health issue?
Yeah, I think as you said, everybody's a bit different, and the answer is going to be different for every individual, and looking for those opportunities, those activities, those things that do help you reduce stress. Identify that and make sure that you're intentional about incorporating that into your life. Whether it's something you need to do on a daily basis, whether it's something you need to do on a weekly basis. For some people, it's exercise. For some people, it's kind of unplugging. Putting the phone down. A lot of people are kind of gravitating towards mindfulness apps, utilizing their devices as those devices have really consumed us. They're able to find ways to utilize those to reduce stress. So the big thing is exploring different options, identifying what works for you, and make sure that you're regularly incorporating that into your lifestyle.
And I guess one of the parts of it too is that it's probably a self-awareness situation where you have to realize, hey, I'm getting stressed out here. I need to do something about it before it gets to be too bad.
Yep.
So the other thing that we wanted to kind of the opposite of stress is the whole. I know Sally last year wrote a story about the sports depression sports fans, this depression when you've got a situation where your team is, bad thing. And so many people, we all know how somebody's personality, if they're a diehard sports fan, either they feel great when their team wins or they feel bad when their team loses. And I know last year, obviously, the Cardinals unfortunately had a bad year with a lot of losing. But even now with the NCAA basketball tournament going on, I would think there's probably a lot of fans who get depressed about that too. How do people deal with that? What's and how does what's some advice or suggestions about how to not let sports world consume you and have that affect your mental health?
I think, my thoughts in regard to that, and what I try to share with patients is, it's normal to have ups and downs. Everybody has ups and downs. People have their ups and they're happy. People have their downs and they get sad, and that's what it is to be human. People that may suffer from kind of that sports depression. I would worry about an underlying major depressive disorder, because those folks may be prone to, instead of having kind of those normal downs, that they may go really down. And so if you're somebody that finds that you're having real significant downs as a result of sports or anything in life, that may be an opportunity to reach out to your doctor, talk to your doctor about different things you can do to manage those swings.
And I guess the opposite is if your team's winning all the time, could somebody be too excited and too hyped up by their sports team's success?
I don't know if that ever happens. So we probably need more people.
We'll take a problem with that, like right,
Yep.
yeah. So, all right. Well, anybody that has any topics that they'd like us to address on a future edition here of the ArchWell Health Matters would be happy to entertain that. So just shoot us an email at stlsportspage@gmail.com, and hopefully everybody will respond to the program. And again, if you need to find out more information about ArchWell Health, you can go directly to their website. They have 4 locations throughout the St. Louis area, or you can link to their website through our website here at stlsportspage.com. Dr. Fisher, thank you for joining us. We'll be back again soon with another episode of ArchWell Health Matters. This is Rob Rains reporting for stlsportspage.com.